can't believe the night lay waste to all we'd give back.
All right, you guys, welcome to season 3. I have something very, very special. As promised, I told you guys we're taking it to a whole nother level today. So today is shark mindset. Now, I know what you're asking. Why shark mindset? Well, if you take a shark, if a shark were to stop moving, a shark would die. In life, you guys, we have to be like sharks. We have to keep moving forward. We can't stop. And we are going to talk to one of the biggest sharks in Los Angeles. His name's Mark. Come check it out. Now, I'm not going to say his last name because I don't want to hack it. His first name is Mark. Give him your last name.
Tarczynski.
Here we go. So, once again, it's all about the process. Being a shark is no joke. Tell us, Mark. I've watched you from a distance. I know how people see you, but they don't understand what it took you to get here. Let us know, man. Let us know. How does it work? What does it take?
It was a long journey, but if I had it to do all over again, I wouldn't change a thing. Started in school. I was born and raised in Chicago. Went to school in Chicago. Middle class family. And then went to college at Indiana University, came out of college, started in marketing. I was marketing restaurants and spent about 10 years doing that, and then decided I wanted to do something completely different. And I quit my job because I was in New York and it was snowing and it was cold. And I didn't like New York, and I knew I wanted to come to LA. So I spent a couple of years unemployed and down at the bottom of the barrel and trying to find what to do. And eventually decided that I wanted to get into selling commercial real estate, big buildings.
Oh, what?
And so I came into downtown Los Angeles and wanted to be associated with the biggest commercial real estate firm in the United States at the time, and that was Coldwell Banker. And I knocked on a lot of doors and saw a lot of people at Coldwell Banker and finally convinced them to hire me. And it took me about 3-4 years of starving. But I knew that if I had enough perseverance and enough self-starting capability,
right,
that eventually I would be successful.
Yeah, and just what you just said right there, let me just break down a little bit of what I just heard. You can't be a shark in a small pond. Like, you ever take a fish in a fish tank? He's only gonna be as big as that fish tank. He up and left and starved for how many years?
I'm sorry, how many years?
How many years were you when you left your job and you were, was it 4 years? I think you said?
It was about 2 years that I was just unemployed trying to figure out what to do. And then it took me another 4 years of starving in this business, because this business is a long cycle business, long startup. And until you start making money, you starve to death for 2 to 3, 4 years. So
now, who did you see in your life where you said, okay, this is what I'm gonna do? Was it your father that kind of led you to this?
No.
Or was it seeing a best friend, an uncle?
No, nobody.
You're saying your own?
Actually, you know something, I take that back. Let me tell you what motivated me to get into commercial real estate.
Here we go. That's what I'm talking about.
So actually, so I was working in marketing, and I was working for the ad agency whose client was Darden Restaurant Group. And one of the people that I interfaced with, my client, she said she was sick of the business and she was gonna go and she was gonna sell real estate. And I respected her a lot, thought she was very intelligent, and I looked at her and I thought, gosh, you know, she's giving up a very good, lucrative job to go off and do her own thing selling real estate. And so I thought, oh, okay, someday I'm going to do that. And about 2 years later, I had it up to here and and decided I was gonna quit, and I went and started a whole new career in commercial real estate. So she was the one who motivated me, and you know something, I can't even remember her name. I'm sorry about that, but that was it.
Okay. No questions asked. No questions asked. Man, so how long? Let's before we go into detail, we'll do that later. How long did it take you, that process? Like, was it 10 years? Was it 5 years? And what was that moment in a sense of like, oh, it's coming?
So I never really questioned myself and my ability because the saying is that 99% of success is just showing up.
Bring it home. Bring it home.
And so I knew that as long as I kept at it, as long as I kept banging my head against the wall, I would find a way to be successful in this business. And so I started out doing retail transactions, lease transactions, in downtown Los Angeles in the late 80s, at a time when everybody looked at me and thought I was crazy because there was nobody living down here and retail was just not the thing.
Yeah, especially down here in downtown. I mean, everyone sees LA Live, and it was like, nah, right. 10 years ago it wasn't even like that. So you can imagine the 80s.
That's right.
You were working in Gotham.
That's right. So what was it that kind of kind of was the point at which things changed for me. Yeah. So I was kind of getting tired of doing retail transactions and had done it to the point where I had mastered the skill set needed to do retail transactions, and I longed to do something bigger and better. And so I wanted to sell buildings, and I wanted to sell larger transactions. And so at the time, the company was starting a new initiative, and I started doing what they called private client. And so I figured, well, I'll do private client in downtown Los Angeles. And so as part of that new initiative, I took a lot of my former retail landlord clients out to lunch, and I was just talking to them, and one of them, I was telling them what I was trying to do, and they said, well, what do you think about this piece of property over here? I'm looking for somebody to sell this property. Right. And I said, oh, okay. And so I told them about what I thought about it, and I told them what I thought the value was, and they said, you know something, that's actually higher than what we thought it was worth. We'll give you the listing. And so I listed the property. I put together all of the marketing materials by myself, and went out and put it on the market. And I put it out on the market in December.
There we go.
Now, December is Christmas time, and nobody's really interested in buying real estate at Christmas time, so I didn't think that there was going to be a lot going on there. So I had a sign up on the property. It was 7.2 acres of land in downtown Los Angeles, in the center of downtown Los Angeles. Quite a big project. Wow. And so Christmas Day, I get a telephone call on my cell phone. And I picked it up, and it was a gentleman with a very thick accent who said he was interested in purchasing the property and he would like to meet with me. And so I said, sure. And so we arranged a meeting on a Saturday, and like the day after Christmas. And he and his partner sat in a conference room much like this, and we hashed out a deal, and they put together a proposal, and I sold it to them. And I asked them later, I said, so why are you running around downtown Los Angeles on Christmas Day, and why are you calling me on Christmas Day? Because everybody's celebrating with their family. Right. And he said, we're Israeli.
That's like, we're sharks. While you're at home watching TV, we're eating. That's a shark.
So, and what he said was, he said he was in downtown Los Angeles to attend a Lakers game, And they had gotten to downtown LA a little early, and they were just driving around. And they saw my sign, and they thought this would be a perfect property for them to buy and start their new business.
Wow.
And so I sold it to them. And by the way, so we ended up putting it under contract, and we were going through all of the what they call due diligence items.
Right.
And lo and behold, right about when we were going to close the property, 9/11 happened.
Shut up.
And so, the world changed.
Everything changed.
Yes. And so management in my company was asking me, what I was going to do this year and what kind of revenue was going to happen. And I looked at them and I said, I don't know. I have all of this stuff in escrow, but I have no idea whether or not this is going to close because the world has changed. And so they looked at me and they were all mad, but they knew. And so sure enough, we held the deal together, and in December, 1 year later, we closed the transaction. Now that transaction.
A year later?
A year later, yes. It takes.
Well, yeah. I mean, some of us
long
think
time.
like escrow, 2-3 months, a year.
Right.
A year, that's torture. A year.
Right.
Okay.
So this was a $38 million transaction. This was the largest transaction I had ever done in my life. And I was basically paying a lot of attention to this project. And it was, what it ended up being was being redeveloped into the Ralph's supermarket in downtown Los Angeles, which was the first supermarket in downtown LA in over 50 years.
Get out of here.
And so that actually kicked off the redevelopment, the renaissance of downtown LA, because you basically need a couple of things to survive. You need a roof over your head, you need a job, and you need food.
Come on,
right?
now.
And so we had the roof over our head, and we had the jobs. We just didn't have the food because people were, in order to do their grocery shopping, they had to travel 5 miles in order to get to do their grocery shopping. And quite frankly, I was sick and tired of doing that. So the story of Ralph's is that the city had called me and they said, hey, we have $7 million to put towards a supermarket. We want to kind of start that. Do you have a project to do that? And I said, you know something? I just sold 7.5 acres to a client of mine, and it's a perfect Ralph's project. And so I put the city together with my client, and they worked it out, and then we went and we got Ralph's, and Ralph signed the lease and opened the doors.
Get out. Wow. Hold on. I gotta dissect this real quick. Okay, so he got around other sharks. Now, what was your leisure time? What was your leisure time as far as like, what did you do on your downtime? Were you still working? Were you watching movies? What were you doing with that extra time? Or were you just constantly working?
So I was constantly working, but
Sacrifice.
The downtime that I did kind of steal away, one of my biggest hobbies is scuba diving, and what I like to do is underwater photography.
Mindset, there it is. He got around other sharks, and it's always like that. We have a goal, we have a dream, we go for it, and sometimes it'll be right there, and then something happens, and it looks like you're now taking 2 steps back, and you were just like, and man, your life changed after that.
Oh yes.
Your life changed.
Oh yes, because that was, at that time, that was the biggest transaction in downtown Los Angeles.
That's right.
And that started it all. And so everybody then, or developers then said, oh, we actually have life in downtown Los Angeles. And so more and more developers came into downtown Los Angeles to develop housing and office and entertainment and hotels.
Right.
And more supermarkets came. As more and more people came and lived in downtown Los Angeles, more supermarkets came. And so today, many of the cranes and many of the buildings that you see in downtown Los Angeles are a result of my efforts.
This is why I'm here. This is why I'm here. I'm telling you guys, and I'm showing you by example. You have to put yourself around other sharks. Now, you guys already know, I see myself as a lion. But one thing that lions and sharks have in common is they are hunters. There's no sick time, you guys. A lion, regardless, he has to eat. Whether he feels good, he has to protect his family. Just like a shark, they have to keep moving, Man, you jumped into a fish tank, didn't have nobody to help you, and he didn't just jump into a fish tank. This fish tank is called the ocean, okay? The deal that he just made by showing up changed Los Angeles. One opportunity, you guys, you do one thing, put yourself in a position to where you go all in, and look what happens. He said he was in an office like this one, and now look where he's working at. It doesn't have his name on his coat jacket, but when you are power, you never have to say you are. And after this, you guys, I promise you, I'm gonna soak up some knowledge because I wanna be on this level. Because here I am jumping into the motivational speaking world, but I realize I have to just show up, keep putting myself around other sharks and other great minds, and here I am. So I want you guys, take this journey with me, learn, and continue to learn. Now, unfortunately, this is the end of the first segment. If I were you, I'd stick around for part 2 because we're gonna do a little bit more digging. So for those who have that mindset, we'll see you soon. We're gonna continue this. I'll see you guys later. Man, I can't believe that. That is wild. You changed Los Angeles. That is wow.